Welcome. Hi. Hello. Today, I'm your tour guide through the world's most terrifying attraction, adult finances. And the scary part is, it's not scary. There's no warning siren, no dramatic music, no villain monologue. It starts with an email that looks like a compliment. You're pre-approved, which is basically the financial version of, come closer, it's safe. Then you see a button that says, Accept Offer. And you click it like you're accepting terms and conditions. Except the terms are your 20s, and the conditions are forever. And that's how the nightmare begins. Not with chaos, not with bad decisions, but with the single most dangerous sentence ever invented. It's only $49 a month. That's not a price. That's a subscription to regret with auto-renew turned on. In a moment, I'll show you why only per month has quietly ruined more lives than bad luck ever did. If you like funny explanations of terrifying systems, hit like and subscribe. It helps the channel, and it signals to the algorithm that you are emotionally prepared for spreadsheets. Here's the trick. The trap doesn't look like a trap. It looks like success. New job. Better apartment. A phone with 3 cameras so you can document your financial decline from multiple angles. You tell yourself, I deserve this. And honestly, you probably do. But deserve is not a payment method. Visa has never said, approved, because you've been through a lot. Nobody destroys their finances with one stupid decision. They do it with a pile of reasonable decisions that accidentally unionize. Debt doesn't break into your house. Debt sneaks in quietly, puts its feet up on the couch, and starts charging rent in your future. At first, it's fine. You pay the minimum, you feel responsible, like a grown adult who definitely has things under control. Meanwhile, the lender is thrilled, because minimum payments are basically debt saying, perfect, I live here now. At some point, debt stops being a bill and becomes a lifestyle choice you don't remember voting for. The math isn't confusing, it's patient, and patience is terrifying when it charges interest. So what's the actual problem? It's not just debt, that's too vague. That's like saying the problem is food. Okay, salad or cake, because one ends with fiber and the other ends with regret. The real problem is that most people are walking across an invisible floor made of risk. Every normal choice tilts the floor slightly, and you don't notice until suddenly you're sliding. Some debt helps you, some debt is survivable, and some debt is a bear trap wearing a name tag that says self-care. So what's really going on? It's not that people are irresponsible, it's that everyone is guessing. And money is the one subject where guessing gets interest added to it. Let's slow this down and look at what's actually happening. Debt comes in 2 flavors. Good debt helps future you build something useful or earn more. With risk, you can survive. Education with a plan, business loans with real numbers, mortgages that don't assume eternal happiness. Bad debt is borrowing to buy stuff that instantly loses value, while interest quietly eats your lifespan. Credit cards for vibes, high-interest personal loans, buy now, pay later for things you forgot you ordered. Interest isn't the villain. Paying interest for things that don't help the future you is the villain. If the debt doesn't create future value, you're paying interest for a memory. People think risk shows up when you do something extreme. Nope. Risk shows up when you stack normal. A small balance, a car payment, rent goes up, a surprise bill. Your job says, quick chat, and your soul immediately leaves your body. That's when your entire financial plan quietly transitions from strategy to we'll see what happens. Your finances aren't tested in your best month. They're tested in the week everything decides to happen at once. If one bad month breaks everything, you're not stable, you're balancing. And balancing is just falling slowly with confidence and autopay. Here's the progression nobody explains. Stage 1, chaos. You don't know where money goes. Your budget is vibes. Your bank app feels like a true crime documentary. Let's revisit the scene. Stage 2, control. You know your numbers. Emergencies are annoying, not catastrophic. You're not rich, you're just not panicking daily. Stage 3, leverage. Debt becomes intentional. Risk has guardrails. 2 bad months don't immediately send you into the shadow realm. Most people try leverage while still in chaos. That's like trying to fly a plane because you once watched a documentary and get the vibe. Ask 4 questions. Is the interest high? Does this create an asset or future income? Does repayment assume life will be perfect forever? Would I avoid saying the total cost out loud? If you're whispering the total cost, bad debt. If you're hiding the statement from yourself, professional level bad debt. If your plan is, future me will handle it, future you is already staring back at you like a disappointed time traveler. And here's the bonus question nobody asks. If you stopped paying tomorrow, would anything in your life actually improve? If the answer is yes, my stress would drop, that's not a loan, that's a hostage situation. Also, any debt marketed with emojis is automatically suspicious. If the lender uses the phrase, no credit check, translated as, we checked and we're excited. Run, quietly, like a librarian fleeing a bear. Good debt turns bad when reality shows up. A mortgage based on your best year? Risky. Education debt without a payoff plan? Risky. A business loan replacing a broken model with hope and caffeine? That's not a plan, that's a mood. Debt doesn't care what you meant. Debt cares what you can survive. What happens if you have 2 bad months? If the answer is, I'm done, that's not leverage. That's a trap with nicer fonts. Also notice how the marketing always frames it as flexibility, never fragility. Leverage is supposed to amplify gains, not amplify panic. If the deal only works in the universe where your job, health, and car all behave perfectly, you're not borrowing, you're betting. And the house always wins, because the house charges interest with nicer fonts and auto pay. So cap the downside, build a buffer, and stop confusing luck for strategy. Real leverage is deeply unsexy. Rule 1, control first. Debt amplifies whatever system you already have. Rule 2, borrow for assets, not optics. If the return is, people think I'm doing well, that's not investing, that's cosplay. Rule 3, cap the downside. If the worst case ruins you, it's not leverage, it's gambling in business casual. People with real leverage aren't fearless, they're buffered, they're boring on purpose. So here's the whole thing in one clean line. Chaos. Debt keeps you alive. Control. Debt becomes optional. Leverage. Debt becomes a tool. Most people get trapped because they talk like they're leveraging, while living like one surprise expense ends the season finale. And the goal isn't no debt. The goal is not selling your future one monthly payment at a time. If you want more funny, system-level breakdowns of money, debt, and risk, like and subscribe. Comment MAP if you want the follow-up checklist without turning your life into a payment simulator. Because the trap isn't dramatic, it's normal, and that's why it works.